Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I'm your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and international best-selling author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 90 countries. So whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to us for some time, I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here, we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing, highlight that transformational moment that changed our lives, and how we use it to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us live right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network, Tuesday through Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also join our Facebook group at Life Transformation Radio Community and never miss an episode by subscribing to your favorite podcast platform. Life Transformation Radio can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Player FM, Radio Public, Overcast, Google Podcasts, Pandora. Everywhere podcasts can be heard, you can find Life Transformation Radio. Or you can join us live Tuesday through Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time by going to blogtalkradio.com/Life Transformation Radio. We'd love for you to tune in live. You can also join us on YouTube at Life Transformation Radio. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and share it with your friends. On the show, my guests are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, veterans, amazing people impacting the world around them. And my guest today has done exactly that. If you have any questions for any of the guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, go ahead and give us a call at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. And with that, please help me welcome to the show fellow Air Force veteran, April Shprintz. April, welcome
Hi.
to Life Transformation Radio.
Thanks for having me, Sean. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so pumped to have another Air Force veteran on the show. And we've been talking for some time, and you're doing something that I wholeheartedly believe in more than a lot of the other strategies and techniques and one-offs and got to do it today. I mean, you've created almost like a lifestyle, you know, a culture, if you will. So I'm excited to have you talk about that for sure.
Oh, thank you. I'm super excited to talk about it with you and how it can help folks that are listening.
So the title of this episode is The Generosity Culture with Air Force veteran April Shprintz. April is a business accelerator and founder of Driven Outcomes. After spending 20 great years in a variety of industries solving problems, driving growth, and accelerating companies, April realized helping people is who she is, not what she does. Generating over $1 billion in combined revenue, April left corporate America after her highest-earning seven-figure year to form her own company and expand her impact. The creator of the generosity culture, April lives her dream by helping innovators and leaders grow their businesses through pouring into their people, their clients, and their community. A proud veteran, April served for nearly 7 years in the Air Force as a television news anchor and executive producer. She's a graduate of the University of Maryland and holds an MBA from the University of Texas. Her links are below. Go to drivenoutcomes.com. Her new book, go to magicbluerocks.com. LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram are right there in the show notes. Click on those or copy and paste those into your browser and send her a friend request, like all her pages, but let her know that you listened to this episode of Life Transformation Radio. April, the first question that I have to ask after reading all that and billions of dollars, I mean, that's incredible. What is your why? Why do you do what you do?
So my why is incredibly simple, but it is incredibly huge to me. And it is that I feel like I was put here on the planet to help people see what is possible for them. And I have the gift of being able to see a person, a business, a thing, and see what it could be at its very best. So that's what motivates me, helping people discover that and experience it for themselves.
Wow. Talking to a lot of people, coaching people, speaking at different events, I could say that I could look at what you do and go, oh, man, I would love to build a billion-dollar company, but I don't know if I can. I mean, that seems like a very huge creative. I mean, I'm pretty happy with 7 figures, like maybe even 6. Like, I mean, I don't need a lot of money. I could do 6 figures, but the possibility of doing it would be so much fun, I think, for me. But for other people, they're like, nah, I don't need all that. Like, I don't need to build. I mean, it'd be cool, but I don't really need to do that. What do you say to those people?
Well, here's what's interesting. So I can see what's possible for folks. And you're right. It's incredibly different for different people. Are there people I work with that could easily and have easily built a billion-dollar company? Absolutely. Are there other people who want, say, a lifestyle business? And while they have a business that generates several $1 million a year in revenue, what's really important to them is that they're at every single Little League game, or that they have all the time they want to ride their motorcycle cross country. So it is very unique. What is possible for people is not often as tied into money as we would think. That's actually not what people are going for.
Interesting. Yeah, when I'm talking to people, I always ask them, why wouldn't you want that? What's holding you back? And a lot of times they either don't know how, or they don't think it's possible for them. Something that they'd love to do. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure, how to do that. And you just learn. It's like anything else. You just learn how to do it, and that's why they hire people like you to help them create that, right? I mean, they hire you to go in and accelerate that business. So I like, man, like anything's possible if you really want to do it. If you really, really believe in it so much, it's possible for you. And I think you're holding yourself back. And they're like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think you can do it. I think if you really, really put your mind to it, I think you can really do it. But I think people don't really believe that they can do it. This really holds people back.
I think it does. And I think that a lot of times no one has ever broken down for them how to cultivate belief within themselves, right? There's some limiting factor that they've experienced or that they've seen someone else experience, and it's really influenced them. Whereas if you can help them get to that place where they can see how possible it really is, that is the greatest gift. When you talk about money, people think this is crazy, but it's so true. If you can make $10,000, you can make $100,000. If you can make $100,000, you can make $1 million. It doesn't take a different kind of effort. It takes a longer, more consistent effort. That's all. The same way that when you want to run a mile, and you know this, right, from the Air Force, right. If you've never run a mile before, I had someone explain this to me, and earning money is the same thing. I was like, I'm not sure if I can run a mile. I'm really scared of before I went into the military. And he said, I want you to go run a mile as slow as you possibly can. Like literally run it almost as if you're walking, or run slower than you would walk. But you just need to go prove to yourself that you can. Okay, so you go and do that. And I came back and I had done that. And he said, now get faster. It's the same thing with money. Show yourself that you can make $10,000, that you can make $20,000. Okay, now do that over and over again consistently, and you'll be surprised at how it adds up and larger chunks of money start coming in.
Huh. I like that. I never thought about it that way. I've heard that making $10,000 is no different than making $100,000. It's no different than making $1 million. You just alter one of the variables, whether it be volume, value, hours put in, you build a team. You know, there's no way one person can do 7, 8, 9 figures by themselves. Like, they have to have a team. And most people hold themselves back because they don't build a team. They just do everything themselves because they feel like they got to save money. That's just
right.
not how it works. Like, you have to pay for other people to do things, because if you're not inside your zone of genius, if you're not playing on your strengths, I'm not a video guy. I tried, and I could do a couple things that, like, I've learned enough over the years that I create a pretty good video and put that out, and I'm pretty happy with it. But if I want, like, the best, if I want, like, an amazing marketing video, I got a videographer on. He'll take care of it for me. Like, I don't need to spend time doing something I'm not good at, because that's not what's bringing in money. What's bringing in money are things that I'm really good at. That's what's going to bring in the dollars. But people are like, well, I'm going to save money and I'm going to learn it all myself. That's cool, man, but you're probably not going to save a whole lot because you're wasting your time. Save money, but you're wasting time. And time is more valuable than money, I think.
I 100% agree. I don't think we have anything that's more valuable than time. And I think that's a mindset. That's a mindset that they've been taught, because we have all been there. I can remember when I was younger and I was like, now I'll paint that myself, or no, I'll clean the house myself, or I'll do this myself, right? Because you have a limited amount of funds. And especially when you're young, you feel like you have an unlimited amount of time, even though that's a misnomer. The older and more successful you get, I just do the math, right? The guy who mows my lawn charges me $25 an hour. I know I can make a lot more than that working on my business. So why would I mow the lawn? And I think there are a lot of places where you can strategically invest and buy your way out of the learning curve. And that is what helps you accelerate and get things faster and get to those places that you want to get to. It feels like a risk, but there's no investment that's more sound than you.
Right. Yeah, we just got to weed through the ridiculousness that is Facebook and the Facebookpreneurs that are all over the place. Right. Got to weed through some of the ridiculousness. So for you, I love your why, love what you're creating. What was the moment? There's always this moment in our lives that really shapes us, it forms us, and it makes it all make sense. So for you, what was the transformational moment that changed you? It changed your life, and it also put you on the path to what you're doing today.
So it's interesting. I write about this in chapter 2 of my book, and I can tell you immediately that it was the moment I met a lady by the name of Sue Harper. And I was 9 years old. I'd just come home from school, and this really regal, beautiful woman was in the middle of my living room, which all the shades were drawn. It smelled sour. It was just scary. Yet there was this beautiful beacon of a person in the room. And the reason she was there is because she was the head of human resources at the factory where my mother worked, and she had come to help my mother go to rehab for her alcohol problem.
Wow.
And what was so amazing is she didn't have to do that, right? She didn't have to come into our home, but she did. And she explained to me what was going on. And she very generously made sure that someone was there for this little girl that she didn't know when everything went left. And what was so amazing about that is not only did she generously give of her time in that moment on that day and help me understand what was going on and what to expect and all of those things, she also said to me, you know, April, you're special, and I would like to be your friend. I'd like to be part of your life. So here this woman, for no reason other than her own generous nature, decided to pour into me, and she was the first really successful person I'd ever met. She was the first indication that these dreams that I'd had, that everyone around me said, people like us don't do that, could be possible. And she has stayed in my life. She is 89 years old. I call her Aunt Sue now. She's still one of my closest friends. And she demonstrated for me the generous nature of pouring into people and giving your time and what you make possible for them by doing it. And it became my way of living, and it became my way of doing business.
Wow. And it's just stuck with you all these years.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. We learned resilience in the Air Force. I think back in 2011, 2012, we were starting to be on this resilience kick. The Air Force was like, hey, we need to teach people resilience, and there's a lot of suicides. 2012 was like one of the deadliest years we had. And they were like, hey, man, you're an instructor. I was a drill instructor. And they said,
oh, dear God, you should have told me that at the beginning, and I could have been afraid for most of this.
Yep, I was a drill instructor from 2009 to 2013.
To this day, that sound is the only thing in the world that intimidates me, the sound of your boots.
Oh, the click, the taps.
You got it.
Yeah, I still got them. Still got them. So they were looking at, a lot of veteran suicides, a lot of military suicides, a lot of destructive behaviors, self-sabotage. There's a lot of that self-defeating behavior going on. So we need a couple MRTs, some master resilience trainers. So of course I love teaching, I love speaking, I love all that stuff. I'm like, let's do this. So we got trained up on resilience skills at UN and was arming people for a while, and number one skill that they taught us was hunt the good stuff. It's not hunt the good stuff anymore. They call it attitude of gratitude or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's basically
mindset. You got it.
Yep. Hunt the good stuff. In every bad situation, hunt the good stuff. There's always something good, even if the bad thing is good. For example, a cancer patient that passes. That's bad, right? But the good thing is they're not suffering anymore. Mm-hmm. So if you look at both sides, yes, that sucks. Yes, that happened. Yes, you lost your job, but you hated it anyway. So you did that job anyways. Now you're free to do whatever you want. It's just like the gratitude. But the scientific research studies involved with generosity and gratitude is that it lowers anxiety, stress, and depression. So what you've created in the generosity culture is just that. I mean, you're lowering these self-defeating behaviors. You're making an impact on people, and that's what we need in any type of environment. We need people that are going to make an impact. There's a leadership quote that says, if you make a positive impact difference in the lives of your people, they will follow you. You are relevant. When you make a positive impact difference, you are relevant, and people follow relevant. And so I looked at that, and I'm like, okay. And then there's this other saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Like, kind of same thing. But it's like relevancy. How do you become relevant? Is it by doing good works because you're expecting something in return? Or is it because you're just that type of person where you're generous to people? So I'd love for you to explain how all of that ties into the generosity culture and what you created.
Sure. So it's funny, a lot of people, when they think of generous, they tend to think of money, or they think of the law of reciprocity, right? If I do something for you, you're going to want to do something for me. And it really isn't that way. It's the ability to give just because giving feels amazing. Helping others feels amazing. It is something that you can do that connects you to everyone in the world. And whether people realize it or not, we're all connected. We're more alike than we are different. And so in that sense, when you're helping others, you are helping yourself. But I prefer to look at it like farming. So let's say that you're doing good work in the world, and let's think of that as seeds. Let's say we're planting carrots, and you plant all these seeds in your land that you're farming. Do you look at each and every seed that you planted and watch it to make sure it becomes a carrot? Or do you plant all these seeds and then you water them and you care for them and you trust that you're going to have all the carrots to eat that you need? Right? Generosity is the same way. You do it just to do it. Do good things happen to you? Is it the most financially successful way to be? Absolutely. But you don't even have to focus on that. It's like when you're doing a sport and they say form follows function. So you could end up having an amazing physique, but that wasn't the point. The point was to be really good at that sport and to do it well. But by doing it over and over again and doing it well, your form transformed. This is the same way. By being generous and pouring into people and your community, great things are going to happen to you. You don't even have to worry about it.
I love it. And it's so true. Few people talk about the gratitude and the generosity and the giving of value and all that. And you can't help it. I mean, really, you can't help it when someone's really nice to you. They help you out. Facebook is a place that people are always asking questions and they're like so grateful. They're like, wow, thank you. And I was really looking for that answer. Like, wow, thank you very much. And they're so grateful. Sometimes I'll get a message like, hey, thank you for answering my question. That cleared up so much confusion that I had, and I'm so very grateful. What can I do for you? They're so grateful in the fact that the overpouring of that gratitude is coming to you. And so
Absolutely.
You can't really give from an empty cup. You can't. The cup's empty. Give from an empty cup. But what you can do is give of your overflow. You have an overflowing sense of gratitude, an overflowing sense of love, an overflowing sense of positivity. That overflow is what allows you to continue to give and to be generous because you have that surplus, you have that overflow. And as long as that doesn't dry up, as long as you keep on, what's my gratitude? What am I grateful for? Have a gratitude journal. Tell people every day, get a gratitude journal. Write 3 things every day that you're thankful for. I think that is the best way, combined with what you're talking about. In what's the investment of not being grateful or not being generous or not being kind? So it's almost the opposite, right?
Well, the thing is that people, whether they realize it or not, you get what you focus on. So when you're talking about resilience training, or I call it mindset, you focus on it, you're going to get more of it. That's just how our brain works. It's the Bader-Meinhof principle. You tell your subconscious mind something is important, it's going to notice. So if you're writing down gratitude, then your subconscious mind is going to point out to you more things that'll make you happy, more things to be grateful for. But if you want to focus on the things that aren't working for you, your mind will point those out too. So you have a lot of control over your reality in that way, because the way you choose to look at it then influences the way that you experience it. You and I were both in the service. I was in Afghanistan and Kosovo and Bosnia and Korea and all these places that maybe other people thought were terrible. But I had something amazing about every single one of those experiences, and so did other people, and that was a choice.
Been to some real crazy places. Afghanistan a couple times, Bahrain, Iraq. So, yeah. And then you get the cushy places like Qatar, in and out of Qatar. And Kuwait's not too bad now. It's not too bad, but it's not fun. You know what I mean? UAE, another cushy place that people deploy to. I've deployed to Jordan. That's not fun. But like you said, I've got some really great memories, and I've had a lot of fun, and I always take in the experience, no matter where I'm at, good place, bad place. I take in the experience, the people I've met along the way, the things that I've done. Like, I have a once in a lifetime chance to be doing these things, and I always said, I was like, I want to go. Like, wherever we're going, no matter how crappy it is, like, I'm going.
Right.
I want to go because I want to experience everything, because I never want to be able to miss out on something. I did that one time. There was a trip going to Austria. I was stationed in England. A bunch of guys on the weekend, like 4-day weekend, like, we're going to Austria. I'm like, I'm all right. Like, I've got some other things that I'd rather be doing, And by the time I got back, I instantly regretted it. They were like, bro, look at these pictures. And, oh, my God, listen to what we did. Like, this was so amazing. And I'm like, man, and everything I had planned kind of fell apart, kind of got halfway done. I was kind of lazy that weekend. I was like, I feel like I got nothing done. Like, it was not a good weekend. But they had a blast. And I'm like, that's it. I'm never missing out again. Somebody asks me if I want to go, I'm going. I'm going anywhere I can.
See, so you did it yourself, right? You took a bad thing. Yeah. How did it work for me? Well, I never missed out again.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Never missed out again. And I never want to feel like I'm missing out on the moments. And I think that generosity is the same way. Like, I never want to miss it. I mean, other than, you know, the bad karma that might come from not being generous. But I never want to miss an opportunity to hold open a door for somebody. I never want to miss an opportunity to buy someone's lunch, to buy someone's dinner. I bought groceries for somebody. I mean, this lady was, I mean, you could tell she's struggling. She's really, she's counting ones, and there's a lot of them. And she's like, let me put that back. And how much would that be? Like, she's like, you can tell she's just really frustrated. Got 2 young babies in the cart, you know, toddlers. And I was like, sir, I'll just take care of it all. Just put it on there, and you're good. And he's like, really? And she's like, you don't have to do that. And I was like, no, for me, I want to give you this generosity. Like, I want to do this for you. I feel compelled. God is telling me to do this for you. You know, and she's like, wow, you can see her kind of welling up a little bit. Like, oh my God, I'm so grateful. So, like, thank you so much. And the guy's like, wow. And her bill was like $60-something. And she's counting like 10, and there's like 1, 2. I mean, she's counting ones forever. I'm like, oh man, like, that's not a good place to be. So
it's awesome that you did that. You could have changed her life that day, right? You could have been that sign, right? She could have been saying, I need a sign that everything's going to be okay. And then you bought her groceries, you know?
Yeah.
So that story I told you earlier about Sue Harper and what she did for me and how she changed my life that day, Sean, it was just a Tuesday for her. It was just like a regular day. But I interviewed her later, right? Like, wow, what made you decide to change my life? And she's like, you know, I offered that to people, and sometimes people took me up on it, and sometimes they didn't. It was just a Tuesday, just like for you, right? That was something you did for that woman. And to you, it's just one in a long line of things you did to be generous to someone. For her, that could have been the moment her life changed, right? That could have been the moment that things got better for her. And how wonderful would the world be if all of us were just going around having a Tuesday, changing people's lives?
Right. It's true. I always want to be part of some miracle, some moment, right? Because, like, I never want to miss out. And the greatest thing about it is I'll never know. I'll never know what she did with those groceries. Cool? I'll never know what she did with the money. Like, I'll never know. I'll never know if she went and invested that money or paid it forward or bought drugs and alcohol. Like, I have no idea. Did she pay her rent on time? I have no idea. She's living on the street. But what I do know is that for that moment, there was a positivity exchange. There was an energy exchange between her and I. And anytime I can give of myself, I definitely want to do that. You know, you never know what people are battling with, and you never know what people are struggling with until we ask or do a good deed.
Very
That's the way I look at it.
Very
That's the way I look at it. For you, how do you elevate the world around you? I'm sure that with the books and, you know, everything that you have to offer for businesses and everything that you do, I'm sure there's many ways that you elevate the world around you. So I'd love to know, April, how do you elevate the world?
So the way that I look to do that is a few ways. One is through the generosity culture, helping companies, CEOs pour into their employees, their clients, and their community. And the reason that I do that from a business perspective is I can help so many more people that way, right? The CEO treats all the employees incredibly. Well, then those employees are empowered and they're happier, and they go home and they treat their spouses and their children better, right? So you've impacted all those folks. And then they're taking great care of the clients. And then those clients are impacting their customers. And then they're pouring back into the community, whether that be local or regional, national or global, this symbiotic relationship of everyone pouring into everyone else. So for me, that is a movement that starts with businesses, and I can impact the most people at once if I start with a company instead of an individual. Now, having said that, some of the folks that might need my help the most might be the least likely to make an investment in something like that, which is why I have all the free resources for businesses on my website. It's why I have a YouTube channel where you see me driving around in a car, picking up entrepreneurs and leaders and giving them advice, because that could be advice that a small business owner needs that they can't afford to get at this moment, but it would be really valuable. It's why I take the time to write things about mindset on LinkedIn, because someone might need to hear that. Or my podcast, I've got special episodes for mindset, and then again, bringing in leaders and CEOs to give people that information that most of the time folks have to pay for. Well, I want to be a resource for everyone to get the things they need to make their life better, because I believe that it is all symbiotic. And if I help one person, I can actually help many people.
Yeah. No, I love that. And looking at your YouTube channel, business advice on the go, like karaoke.
It's exactly like that, but not as good at singing. But it does have a Shih Tzu.
Yeah, it does. It does. Beauty fetish. That's what I'm saying. Beauty fetish. Nobody wants to be the cheapest.
They want to be the best value.
That's like one of the first ones. Like, that's pretty cool. That's
you got it.
Pretty cool.
I was helping her with raising her prices, because I was like, you don't want to be the cheapest. You want to be the best value. You want people to feel good about what they invest in your service, because they feel like they get so much from it. You don't want to be the bargain barrel person doing whatever it is that you do. And for a lot of entrepreneurs, raising their prices ends up being how they get some of their time back, because the people who truly value you are still going to invest in you. And then you have time back for creative projects to give back to others, however you choose to use it. So that's something that I advise a lot of companies that I work with. And people are like, oh, that's terrible. She advises them to raise their prices. No, I advise them to price in line with the value that they offer. Right.
And I used to think that raising prices, I was like, oh, man, they're just money hungry and like, oh, my gosh. But what I didn't realize was I was undervaluing myself as well. And there could be a notion of, if someone is a coach, right, for $100 or $200, and they're giving away thousands of dollars worth of advice, like, dude, the value's not there, right? But if someone's regurgitating the E-Myth, or they're just reading books and then regurgitating it and charging $50,000 for an hour of their time, no, I'm good, right? So what I learned is that you could take a piece of furniture and price it for $100,000 and it's worth $100, or you could price according to the marketplace. You could price it according to the value that's delivered. You can price it like many different ways. And I learned this when I was creating an antique and collectible store. I'm like, man, like, how much should I? Earnhardt Senior car, NASCAR car, like, he did pass. I think $100. Someone will pay $100. People are like, whoa, that's like a sentimental value. Like, dude, what is the actual market value? Like, what would an average person pay for that? You're not selling to the collector. You're selling it to, like, the people who like Senior, because there's people who like Dale Earnhardt or NASCAR, and there's people that are absolutely obsessed with it. People who like it are like, I'm good, I don't need that. But the collector's like obsessed. He's going to buy it anyways. No matter what the price is, the guy's going to buy it. So you need to be pricing according to who really needs it, the value that it gives. I was like, oh. So some of the stuff I had in my store was like $10, but the value was like $100. So I just, I kind of split the difference. But I had to learn like a pricing model. And now I just do it as habit. I'm like, I wonder what this was called. Like, I walk to an antique store, or I walk into a regular store, or I'll see something online. I'm like, I wonder how much that costs, like a sweater or something. Well, I bet it's like $46. Like, I bet it's like, and I'm right around the price. I'm like, hell yeah. Like, because I never want to devalue myself. I never want to devalue my clients. And I believe that's why Life Transformation Radio sold for what it did. I believe I created enough value in the 470 episodes that are recorded of this radio show, repurposed into a podcast, that somebody saw the value like I did and said, dude, I'm going to pay you for that. That's just my opinion.
Absolutely. Well, and I think you see this in real estate more than anything else, and maybe you see it in other things,
yeah.
but I think it's really common when someone's like, well, my house is worth X. No, your house is worth what somebody else will pay for it. That's what it's worth.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, man, you nailed it. I totally forgot about the real estate. And even then, some of the real estate's like cruising right now. I'm like, how?
Sure.
How is that a $500,000 house? Like how? How is that possible?
Because someone will pay that for it. That's how.
Yep. Absolutely. So, oh, man, real estate. Holy cow, real estate. So that just kind of blew my mind right now, because I look at, like we've talked about, and it's just so true, man. It is just so true. So I want to take a call right now. So I want to welcome this caller that is on the show. Hey, tell us who you are and where you're from.
Hi, I'm a longtime listener, first-time caller. Hi, my name is Rob Actis.
Hi, Rob.
How are you?
Hi,
I'm great.
Rob.
How are you?
I'm very good. Enjoying the show. I'm just in a really, really good mood. I love the conversation what you're talking about and the value of things. And then I heard Sean mention about the fact he sold Life Transformation Radio. Tell me about that. That's fascinating.
Yeah, the host is a really cool guy named Rob Actis. Oh my God.
Hey, wait, that's me.
Oh, you know what I love, Rob? You have a great voice, because that's important if
Isn't
you're going to
it
buy a
sexy?
radio show. It's
What
a
a
good
sexy
voice. I was
voice.
in radio. I'm impressed.
Yeah,
Thank you.
he's also the voice of the Miracle Morning audiobooks that are written by a friend, Hal Elrod, and Rob is the voice of the audiobooks and a lot of different commercials, and he has his own podcast and different courses and different things that he does, and I'm just completely just in love with the fact that Rob is going to take over the show, and he's going to do so many cool different things with it, and it's going to live on, and I'm just like super pumped.
It's awesome. Rob, I would totally buy a book you voiced. Totally.
Oh, well, I have 33 on Audible, just so you know. So
Do you get a commission? I need some of the money to go to you.
It will go to me. It
Okay,
will go
cool.
to me. I promise. Yeah, I didn't mean to hijack the show, but I'm so excited. So I will hijack for just a minute because, hey, it's me. So tomorrow we're going to flip this script. Sean and I are going to be on the air tomorrow, and it'll be
Thursday,
like the changing of the guards. And so, Sean, I was going to tell you, so what I'd like to do is flip the script. Tomorrow, you can welcome everybody. I'm going to take over the show, and then I'm going to interview you, and I want you to share your journey of where Life Transformation Radio came from and everything that you did to build it into what it is today. It is incredible.
Wow.
And that is the true story of transformation.
I think that's awesome. I love it.
I'm gonna
and
make
Rob
Sean
sounds
cry.
a little like Casey Kasem. Is anyone else doing that?
Oh, my God.
So funny story. Rob, before we run out of time, Rob, why don't you hit us with the intro of one of the podcasts that you actually kept down?
What's that?
I said, why don't you hit us with the intro of one of the podcasts that you count down?
Oh, right. So it'd be, hey, everybody, it's Rob Actis. This is the Hot 50 Countdown, brought to you by Podcast Magazine. We count down the Hot 50 from Podcast Magazine each and every month. I am so thrilled to be here. Coming in number 50. Actually, we're all the way to number 1, Sean Douglas and Life Transformation Radio. Number 1 with a bullet on the Hot 50 Countdown.
Oh, yeah, total Casey Kasem vibe.
Yeah. So, April, you know what's so funny? You know, I've been around for a while. You've been around for a while in this thing. And so, you know, you always get haters.
Whoa, let's not say how long I've been around. Rob, I was
like
really liking you until now.
2 months. Like 2 months. Like 2 months. No, let's just say that you're seasoned. And what I mean is that, you know, you always have haters. There's always going to be haters out there. And what I love about that is that, you know, they took the time to write. And so one of the complaints that I have, or the low stars that I have on iTunes about the Hot 50 Countdown is, yeah, if he would quit trying to sound like Casey Kasem, maybe I could get through the show. And he would get that fake Casey Kasem voice, and I'm like, it's just my voice. I'm sorry. This is what I really sound like. And here's the thing. I take it as a big compliment because I grew up listening to Casey Kasem. Yes. I was in radio for 15 years. Yeah. And the one thing that I loved about Casey Kasem, which I have to say that a lot of people think that is part of me, is that I have a giant heart. I truly love people. And I truly want to have people have an extraordinary life. And that's who he was.
Absolutely. Yeah, I meant it as a compliment. He was my favorite. I always listened to his countdown.
And then the letters that people write in,
he's
favorite. Reading the letters, right? He's reading the letters from the people who have written in. I love that. That's my favorite moment.
Yeah, it's so it's the first ever podcast that's a countdown podcast, and it's every month. It's highly produced. I think you'd really like it. I'll send you a personal link, April. I will.
Oh yeah, I'd love it.
Absolutely, yeah. But I think you guys are fabulous. I didn't want to hijack the show, but then I'm like,
but it was so fun.
Just see how this works. Yeah.
This is radio. This is the best part. I love this.
I'm so shy. You know, I'm just very shy and reserved, and I'm just like, no, I'm not going to call. That would be too scary for me.
That would be weird. Thanks, Rob. You're a rock star, man.
Thanks. So tomorrow's going to be a lot of fun, Sean. I'm going to take you down memory lane, and my goal, my intention is to make Sean cry. That's my intention.
Yeah. Okay.
I like it. It'll be fun.
Absolutely. All right. Well,
all right, man.
Appreciate you. I'll let you return to your regular program already in progress.
Regular scheduled program. Yeah, man. So April, as we start to close the show, I got to know, what's the message here? What's the takeaway? What do you want the listeners to know and understand?
Here's what I want them to know. Your biggest dreams are not too big. Things that people say are impossible are not impossible. You can do absolutely anything that you believe you can do. And if you don't believe right now, that's fine, because I can help you with that, because I believe in you, and you can cultivate that belief in yourself, and you can do anything in the world that you have ever wanted to. And there are so many people who have walked that same path and will be cheering you on the entire way as the rock star that you are.
That's a great message. I think people really need to hear that. People are deflated right now. They're looking for something. You know, job is gone. It's like, well, I have an opportunity now, but what do I do? And I don't know. And maybe I should try this. My 18-year-old son the other day was like, Dad, I'm starting a food truck. And I'm like, hell yeah, I got to build another business now.
I love it.
I want to help him build a food truck, you know? And I was like, you can do it, son. You can do anything you want to do. And I try to tell my kids that. But I'm like, look, this may not be for you, but you could try it, you know. But I was like, yes, let's do this. He's like, it's going to be called Gavin and Dad's Food Truck. And I was like,
it's a good way to get an investment from Dad.
Right. And he goes, so what do you think? You want to help me? I was like, yeah, dude. He's like, okay, it's going to cost this much. I was like, I got you. So I might be an investor in a food truck. It's going to be awesome.
Great negotiation.
Right. April, I want to thank you for your time. It has been absolutely amazing to have you on the show, and I love everything you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been my pleasure.
I concur.
All right. Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest, impacting the world around her. If any part of our conversation today resonated with you, please connect with April at drivenoutcomes.com. You can get her new book at magicbluerocks.com. Her LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram is right there in the show notes. Click on those, send her a friend request, subscribe to her YouTube, but please let her know that you listened to this episode of Life Transformation Radio. Everyone listening, thank you so much for the 4+ years that you've allowed me to come to your eardrums, to come through your car, to come through your phone and computer. It's been a very, very humbling experience this last month as I close out my chapter on Life Transformation Radio. A very capable host, a man that I admire a lot, is going to take over Rob Actis. April 1st is going to be no joke. As we close the show, I always say, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you have deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live an amazing life.